Here with BASTL, Superbooth 2018. New modules and a really nice sounding patch for this morning.
Yeah.
Nothing too intense just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, I need to enjoy the show. I need to love the patch. So I'm like, getting into it.
So you've got some polyphonic things going on and a couple of new modules, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in this patch, I have 8 analog oscillators. So it's an 8 voice patch. And I didn't tune the oscillators. Actually, I did. I just pressed 2 buttons and that was it.
So is that a new module as well? All the oscillators?
Exactly. So the new module, or let me make a quick demo just,
It sounds great.
Yeah, thanks. So it was actually additive polysynth for voice. So I had just 4 triangle wave oscillators going to the 4 wave shapers that I'll talk about a bit later. And the oscillators were controlled with the polyphonic MIDI interface.
Okay.
So that one is called 1993. We can see it here. And as you can see, hopefully you can see, there are 4 voices, 4 channels, A, B, C, D. And each channel has CV and gate output, but also listen input. So it can listen the oscillators, and as soon as it does it, there is this tune button that you hit, and it tunes the oscillators. It not only tunes them, but it also checks all the 7 octaves. So it makes sure they are in tune across all the 7 octaves.
So it scales its own output to make sure whatever you plug it into will then track.
Exactly. That was the idea, and it works super well. I have like 4 quite low-key oscillators here, and then I have like mix of other oscillators from different brands, Mannequins, Depfer, and they all are in tune with each other. I didn't do any special calibration; it just works.
Well, especially on a polyphonic interface, that's such a big thing. Yeah. Tuning 1's not too bad, but when you've got 4 to 8 to deal with, just that button press makes it so easy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like when I first made this MIDI interface, I didn't include this feature, and I started, coding it, and I tuned the oscillators, I went to the toilet, came back, and it was gone, So, and then I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Like you said, they're not all going to track exactly the same as well if you've got different brands or a few of the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really made, and it's going to be in tune with any other instrument. So, and there's going to be a few different tuning systems, but like the most common A 440 Hertz is like the default one. So if somebody comes up with flute, they can play,
So easy to play with other people and other gear.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like let's say half of the story of the module. So, but it's a big one, at least to me. So the next big thing are these 4 inputs that I'm not using on this interface, but I'm using them more on the one up here. But let's maybe start down here with the update jack. So as soon as you don't use the update jack, it's a straight up converter. But as soon as this is a clock at this jack, and as soon as the clock comes in, when I play the keyboard, it updates only at the clock, so it sort of quantizes.
It's like a sample and hold that's going to quantize to a clock. Not really a sample and hold, I guess, but will only happen when it has a clock.
Exactly. So yeah, it's basically.
That means all of us bad keyboard players can sound a little better.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up playing piano myself, so I sort of think in harmonies, but I'm a terrible player.
It's not just a thing of being a good or a bad player. When other things are so rigid and machine-based, it's a very different thing. It's a human feel against a machine.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can combine those things. So yeah, but at least my piano brain is still active, and this kind of live input is for me at least very essential, and that's where the other features come in. So there is this, it's called window jack. So what happens when you press more than, let's say, 4 keys? Let's say I'll play these notes. It's obviously more than 4, and as long as I play legato, they are stored in a memory, in a buffer.
Okay.
And what I see at the outputs of the module is a window. It's like what got selected from those notes. It's by the voice allocation algorithm. So, and what I can do is that I can move the window around this buffer to like get different selection of notes at the outputs.
So it's almost like a stored pattern that you window through.
Exactly. So you feed the module with a selection of notes, and then you can make variations based on these notes. So this is what's happening all the time in the background. I'll pull up the volume a little bit. So there is some bass lines and synth lines, and they are all fed with the same MIDI. So I'm splitting the MIDI in the through box there, and I have another interface here with those 4 oscillators and 4 different architecturally voices, and they're all fed with the same MIDI information.
So does your playing transpose what's in the window?
So as long as I play a new chord, like as if you have a hold on an arpeggiator keyboard or something like that.
Okay.
As soon as you hit a new set of notes, it restores the buffer, and then when I clock the window jack, it sort of moves the window around the buffer. So you can either clock it or use CV to move around the buffer.
Brilliant. Sounds really good.
So, and then it's really cool when it's combined with the update jack. So for instance, in this patch, I'm using the same trigger that's for hi-hat and kick drum. So one of them is moving the window around, and the other one is doing the update. So it updates only with the kick drum,
It's very performable, and everything's kind of combined to this one kind of hub of information, but there's a ton of stuff coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So, as a musician, or at least I as a musician, I think of harmonies and so you have some basic harmony, it's either minor or major, and then you have the extra notes that add the flavor or the color to the harmony. And basically when you enter this information, that's the idea, but that could be improvised all over. That's how jazz works in a way.
The whole machine plays along and catches up with what you're doing. And
yeah, exactly. So now I finally feel that as being crappy keyboard player, I can sort of, make the music, and the machine helps me a lot. So, but I can still be thinking in the chord progression and extra notes flavor kind of way. So that was kind of something that I wanted to have for a very long time, and it just works, and I can't get enough.
Yeah, and it's not a big module or a big system for 8 voices and some drums either.
No, not at all. Yeah, exactly. It's a 8 voice with a drum section, and then there are all the envelopes or the quad oscillators. By the way, it's in a new case that we are going to build, and this is the lid for the case. Do you want to hold it? Try how light it is.
Oh yeah, wow. I thought I was going to be, seeing metal, I thought it was going to be a lot heavier.
So yeah, we're also working on new cases that would be really easy to travel with and compact, and this is the lid, so you can really take this with the patch and go play a show. I could easily play a show tonight with this.
Yeah. And there's also, is there a wave shaper in the system as well?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So when I was playing the keyboard, I had 4 wave shapers, 1 on each voice. So I'm opening all the wave shapers now.
A polyphonic shaper, or is that part of your oscillators, or?
No. So it's this module. It's called Timbre, and it's basically one voice wave shaper, but I have 4 of them for this polyphonic patch.
Okay.
and it is a dual wave shaper. So there are two different circuits. One of them is wavefolder and the other one is wave driver. It's more of an overdrive circuit. They're both inspired by the Surge wave shapers,
Okay.
but they take the circuit a bit further, and there's quite a bit of innovation on them. So let's maybe have a look at the shaper a bit more closely. So we'll be looking at this one up here.
It's always nice to have a scope for this stuff as well.
Exactly, so you can also see the waveforms here while I'm tweaking it. Okay, I can turn down the intensity a bit. So there is, it's pretty much inspired by the no-coast wave shaping,
Okay.
mainly with the presence of a crossfader or like a balance circuit.
Yes, yeah.
So you can do a lot of wave shaping, but you can, still go back to the input signal, which is a triangle
That's
wave.
nice for retaining that root fundamental tone.
Exactly, yeah. So there is this voltage-controlled crossfader with bipolar attenuator, so you can, get envelopes or modulations both ways. And as I said, it has two different wave shaping circuits. So the first one is quite classic four-stage wavefolder. So if you look at the waveform, it folds nicely to the third, fifth, and seventh harmonic, and then it goes further in to obtain quite extreme, like high harmonic content square waves. So that's kind of the character of the shape control of the wavefolder. There is also a symmetry control, which is bipolar, so you can add a voltage offset to derive, for instance, second, fourth, and sixth harmonic.
Just that get the even harmonics.
Exactly. So with a bit of symmetry, you can do that. Yeah, like this. That's the fourth, I believe. And then there is also a switch. So there is like a bit special last folding stage, and if I flip this switch up here, it only has that last stage.
Okay.
And when I go up with the switch, it's a little bit of variation of that setting. So it can be less wavefoldery, and that's very useful for complex signals because
Folding can be a bit aggressive on really complex input signals.
Exactly. So if you want to process drums or so on, you might have more use for the upper positions of the switches than for the folding, which can get.
Can be a bit hard.
Exactly. Yeah. So the crossfader here, it has this switch, so I can either crossfade to the input signal, or when I flip the switch up, I can go to the other wave shaper. Which is a overdrive circuit with one wave folding stage, and it has a adjustable folding threshold, which is this switch. So I can either have no folding or low threshold and high threshold. And the interesting thing about the high threshold is that it's exactly twice as higher than the folding threshold of the wavefolder. So when I crossfade to the second shaper, and I do a little bit of fine-tuning, I have the fifth harmonic here and the third harmonic here, and the fundamental, that's the root, third, and fifth.
There's a lot more control on this.
Yeah, and both of these shapers, they have independent outputs, and then you have an output of the crossfader, so you can really do sort of additive synthesis. So you can take the fundamental and derive like all these different sets of harmonics from it, and then I don't know, in a voltage controlled mixer you can really do some additive synthesis kind of thing. So let's maybe have a look a little bit more at how the wave driver operates. So it first folds and then quickly goes to the overdrive territory. It's different with the lower folding threshold, and there is also a switch to set different flavors of clipping and it's really nice with bit of a asymmetric, asymmetric distortions. Is a thing that I really like. So yeah, so I guess, as you can tell, there is a lot of flavors you can achieve with all those CVs. And there is one more jack that just fitted on the module. I couldn't resist. So there is a jack which is feedback CV. So if you apply positive voltage to that jack, it feeds the output back to the input, and it can achieve quite some aggressive and chaotic sounds.
And you could put a VCA before the input to the feedback and be quite expressive with the higher distortion noise type stuff from feedback.
Yeah, exactly. Like what I like to do, like the symmetry control, it basically adds a voltage offset to the signal when you tweak the knob. But as soon as you plug a jack, it breaks the normalization and the knob becomes a bipolar attenuator. So you can like take one of the outputs, connect it to the symmetry, and then like basically use it as a bipolar feedback, and that opens up a lot more possibilities as well if you self-patch the module. And of course you can put VCA in the
path as well.
In the path as well.
So with the MIDI interface and the shapers, are these available now? Are they available soon?
Yeah, so the wave shaper, the timbre, is available now. It's €170 without tax, so it's gonna be close to 200, depends where you live. And MIDI interface 1983 is gonna be available in September with price tag around 250. We're not sure yet.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot.